Shut up and sit down.
All right, everybody, welcome to Square Ring Podcast, episode 34, I believe. Today, our special guests are Bobby D and Jim the Big Texan. Today is another recap video where we're recapping the Sandoval Rage in the Cage and the upcoming show coming on Saturday. How'd you guys' matches? Did you win? You better.
Well, let me take you back. Me and Bobby was on this last week, so our special guest is Nasty Nate.
It's true.
I wasn't there. Nothing special.
That's why this podcast is special tonight, because you're back.
You're the something new.
Man, this past Saturday was probably one of the most audience interaction show that we've had in a long time.
They were a rowdy crowd.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was nicely packed in this gym. It was the Sandoval High School. That's why we were out there helping support them, getting them some money. Like Bill said last week, it was, to help with the equipment. It was there to help feed the kids when they're taking the kids from one place to the next and they're out all night. And not everyone has money for food when they stop, so it was a definite great benefit. And I know they made a ton of money because there was a lot of people in that building. So I just wanted to point that out from the get-go. But it was definitely the fans were really involved in every single match. Matter of fact, our locker rooms were like underneath the gym, like the boys' locker room and the girls' locker room. So the babies were in one, the heels were in the other. And I tell you, you can hear the matches going on. Well, let me rephrase that. You can't hear the matches going on because the crowd was so loud. Nathan, are you doing a little peeking?
No, what I'm doing is her posted a picture of you with a fan interaction, and I want to get your hot take on it.
I'm going to take a guess of which one this is with that little kid pointing his finger at me.
Yeah, but for all those people who haven't seen it, I want them to see it too.
That's fine. But like I said, the audience, you can just hear them booing and hear them chanting and backing the good guy in the matches. They were just crazy. What was your point of view, Bobby? What did you feel about it?
Like you said, it was crazy. Like when Gary and Waco went out there to open that show, like you could hear it, and like it was like shaking the floor. Like it's some old school concrete locker rooms under the bleachers, and like it's like you just felt the vibrations going through the whole place.
Yeah, this is the one.
Yep, that's the one. That kind of reminds me of almost like a Dennis the Menace or something like that. Kid looking at me and pointing his finger. The wife asked me what he was saying to me, and honestly, I don't know. I was surrounded by kids, and they were asking me to sign this and sign that, and can I get a selfie with you, or can I get a picture of you on the belt? And they were just surrounding me. Matter of fact, the other match started after me, and I was still just trying to get through all the kids and get them taken care of. But at some point, I guess maybe he was next, and I went to another kid. So he was letting me know that he was here and that he wanted my autograph. But it was definitely crazy because this is our second year coming back there.
He's giving it to you too.
I know.
Well, if you look at the whole reel of pictures that were posted there, he was also standing right there when it looked like you beat one of his little buddies in arm wrestling. So maybe he was challenging there.
That could be too. For the second year in a row, this same kid has come up to me and challenged me to an arm wrestling match. Yeah.
That's the only one on his Instagram. And
you
for
have
some
to look
reason,
at Amy's. You have to look at Amy's. He pulled that off of Amy's.
It was definitely Yeah, so this is the second year in a row that this little boy challenged me to an arm wrestling match, and he almost had me rocking. But I tricked him and gave him a little side tickle and got him to laugh, and then bam, down he went.
You could have gave the kid a lariat, and it would have ended way differently too.
For me, it would have ended differently because I would have been.
What's a little jail time for your fans, right?
Right.
Don't be a hater with your fans, Jim.
I'm just saying that kid would never forget that.
Yeah, neither would I, because I would wind up in Sandoval jail. You already mentioned the opening match. It was Waco versus Gary Jackson. Now, I felt sorry for Waco because you had a full Gary Jackson that was healed. He wasn't dealing with the burns from that fireball that he got a couple weeks ago. I guess about a month ago. So it was definitely top game Gary Jackson. Gary definitely took the win off of Waco, but from what I can hear in the locker room, it had to be a hell of a match. Because, like I said, the fans from the very get-go was totally involved in it.
And happy belated birthday to your son, Bobby.
Thanks.
What, he turned 11? Was that Owie?
Yep. Day after the Sandoval show.
Yep.
Wake up all sore and everything and go try to do stuff at Urban Air.
Yeah, so how did your Sunday go? Let's
my Sunday was 2-day busiest. Wake up early, go pick up a couple of his friends, go to Urban Air, drop friends off, and then we had to drop Landon off to take a bus to Springfield to play a football game, then go back for a soccer game, go back for the littlest one's football game in Alton.
Wow.
All over the place.
I didn't do a damn thing because I woke up, on the weekends, I normally just let my body wake myself up. So I don't set an alarm or anything like that, which is whenever I get up, I get up. But Sunday, when I got up, I was like, ooh, I'm a little sore. And then you get up off the bed and you're looking like a grandpa, hunched over, trying to loosen the bones. Normally, that Sunday after a show, I go straight to the gym and I try to work the back out, try to loosen everything back up to get stiff and tight. But Sunday, man, we'll get into my match a little later, but I'll give you a hint. I took a couple chair shots and my back was so freaking tight. I didn't do a damn thing. Well, I take that back. I did have a water heater bust on me Saturday before I went to the show, and I fixed it Sunday. That was the only thing I did. Yes, mine wasn't busy. I didn't do it. I tried not to do a damn thing.
Except for that, get hit a couple times.
Oh, so here's the video here.
Well, just so everybody can see why you're hurting so much, you big baby.
This is just 2 of the chair shots. There was another chair shot that he got me with as well. But this one's right to the noggin.
Did you get forked?
You get a little boot action to the throat coming up here, too?
Yep. You would think the referee would know to check every part of him before the match starts because, yes, he definitely had a hidden fork on him, and he definitely used it a few times. So, like we were talking about last week, card is always subject to change. You have people that can't make it in. You got people who have car problems, airplane travel problems. So there was supposed to be Mike Masters versus Jason Breed. Well, Mike Masters, I don't know what his reason was. A lot of people, car ride together. Maybe he couldn't get a ride. Maybe, just throwing some excuses out there. But so Mike Masters didn't show up. but Shane Douglas took his spot and went against
Sean
Jason
Douglas.
Breed. Huh?
Sean Douglas.
Did I not say Sean again?
You said Shane again. We did not bring Shane Douglas in.
We would have a lot more fans. No. Sean Douglas. You know, which is funny too, because he normally goes by the moniker, the Golden Boy. But we had the world heavyweight champion, also known as the Golden Boy.
So we had the real Golden Boy?
Yeah. So they kind of dropped his moniker down. But, you know, it was a good back and forth match. I went up and kind of snuck and peeked and watched this match a little bit. You know, so it was a lot of good back and forth. At one point, I know Sean had threw Jason Breed out of the ring, and he tried to do a little sneak attack, you know, on him. But in the end, you know, Jason Breed is, you know, he's a veteran in this game. You know, he's been around from the GCW days to the MMWA to the SICW. So I hate to say it was a clean, easy victory because I know Sean put up a fight, but Jason Breed did get his hand raised at the end there. So it was a pretty good back and forth match. Oh, you know what? You were talking about that first match being Waco versus Gary Jackson. Originally, Peyton Ayers was supposed to be there. Peyton Ayers was supposed to go against Gary Jackson. So a lot of little switcheroos and people not being able to make it. And some people, you know, I know a lot of them get double booked. You know, I used to do that too, where I would book for SICW for like an earlier card, you know, earlier position on the card, and then go to MMWA for a later card, you know, being on the back end of that. And sometimes you just get stuck at the first show and you can't make it, or you make it too late for the second show. And I know Peyton Ayers, as much as I know about Peyton Ayers, I know he does travel and he hits a nice circuit. So he was probably at another show and either couldn't make it to this one, or like I said, you know, sometimes you get double booked and you get stuck at the first one. So let's see. Peyton Ayers was supposed to go against Gary Jackson, but Waco did. Curtis Wild went against Yellow Jacket. Now, this is the only one I do not know how it ended. I tried to find out. I was texting a few people, but you know, Yellow Jacket, he's from the Tennessee area, and there's no way for me to reach out to him. And then Curtis Wild, you never know what that guy's doing. So you
He's
can reach
living
out
on the wild side. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, being on the wild side. But like I said, I don't know how that match actually ended. I did not stay up there and watch it because, you know, I didn't want to take away from the matches going on. Because sometimes if you creep around and try to sneak a peek, you get caught by the audience, and then it's all about you instead of the match going on. So, you know, there's another time at the main event, I actually stepped out there and watched a little bit of that. But there was so much going on in that main event that they weren't worried about big old Texan over on the side there. Let's see here. So there was a tag match that did happen.
I said that's another change.
Yep. So you got the Top Guns. You got Brandon Beretta, and you got Joey Vanetti. They were supposed to go against Glenn Williams and Sean Vincent. Sean Vincent didn't make it to the show, so I don't know if he was just scared that, you know, Bobby D was going to be in the same locker room, or
I was looking for him,
or that he was just scared that the Big Texan and Bobby D was going to be down there, because that's who we got this coming Saturday in Cahokia. But we'll get along.
the other half of that team, both parts of that team no-showed.
No. Glenn Williams was there.
No, of our team we're going against this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Peyton Ayers and Vincent. They're both hiding.
Peyton Ayers was supposed to be, yeah. It was like that whole tag team just kind of like ghosted us.
It's like, oh, we're gonna rest up. You guys get sore.
How do you guys feel like? What does it feel like to be the freshman high school girls now? You got ghosted by the bad boys.
Oh, we didn't wrestle them this month. They ghosted other people.
Yeah, that's true. Like I said, they were probably just scared that they were going to have a chance to see us, and we might get a little retribution for them, our actual show next Saturday. So Glenn, he doesn't really have that many friends. Vincent is pretty much the only friend he's got down there. So they actually had to throw him in. So Sean actually wrestled twice that night. Just making sure I pointed out that his name is Sean. So Sean Douglas wrestled twice. So it was Glenn and Sean Douglas versus the Top Guns. Now, during this match, I was downstairs in the locker room preparing for my match, but you could just hear. Like it was the crowd was just going crazy for this match, and then all of a sudden it just went dead, like you can hear a pin drop, and then all of a sudden you can hear it come back again, and the crowd was going crazy, and then you can tell when the match ended, the crowd just exploded. So I kind of went to the staircase to go up. What I ended up, another wrestler was up there, and he comes flying down. And he goes, "That Sean guy is hurt." Sometimes wrestling, it's not for children, and sometimes you can seriously get injured or hurt. And the Top Guns, they do this move. It's kind of like a flapjack. It's where both of them, like, they throw you off the ropes, and then they both pick you up and slam you down. Normally, it's like face first, but evidently, when Sean went up, something happened where he went head first down into the mat, and that was the quiet spot that you can hear a pin drop, because the whole audience now, even though they hate Sean and they hate Glenn Williams, you don't want to see anyone die. And the crowd had gotten silent because he hit head first, and he stayed there for a while. And the ref had to check up on him, and then they got him to the side where Glenn was able to tag in, and then some other guys came in, checked up on Sean. There was a guy that worked for an ambulance company in the audience, so he came down out of the stands, checking on him. And to his credit, he got back up, shook it off, and continued the match. Sometimes that can be smart. Sometimes that can be really stupid. I've told the story many times where, I was in a tag match, and at this point in my time, in my career, I was going against Gary Jackson. And I had suplex Gary, and his head hit the mat, bounced back up, and then came back down on my right eye. And that's what, I was knocked out. This was one of my major concussions that I had. And I was knocked out in the ring. Now, it was a tag
hardest
match.
That's ICW.
So in the tag match, the other three guys, went at it and bought me some time. And eventually I woke up. Eventually I realized what I was doing, that I was in a wrestling match, and I was currently in the match, so I was able to find my bearings and actually continue that match. And that's what he did. But sometimes, you get hurt like that, or almost get hurt like that. Sometimes you should bow out and, let Glenn be the powerful wrestler that he claims to be, and take on the Top Guns by himself. And
Well, I'm sure Glenn, in the same situation, would have left him high and dry.
Oh, see, that's the thing, though. Glenn almost, I guess you'd say he did, because after Sean got his bearings, he wanted to tag back in. And this is the stupid part. So, you just land on your neck and your shoulder, and all these people are concerned about you because they seen what you took. And then, some people just don't have a clear head after they take such a bump. And, they want to finish the match, so they want to get tagged back in. But sometimes, as their their tag partner, sometimes you just gotta say, no, you chill for a minute. Hell no. Glenn tagged Sean back in. And as soon as he tagged him back in, Beretta hit him with that spine buster and sent Joey up for the rocket launcher, and then 1, 2, 3. So, you would think if Glenn wanted to win that match, that he would have stayed in. He would have barreled through it and worked on one of them, Brandon or Joey, and tried to get a pin on him, or at least until Sean was clearly in the right state of mind to finally get tagged back in. But it was just, as soon as Sean waved all the people off that was checking on him, he reached out his hand for a tag back in. So I don't know. You can take it either way.
Difference between a wrestler and a cheerleader. Glenn, I'll be there. You can talk to me later.
All I know is Glenn didn't have his master or his captain charisma guy, Sean Vincent, with him, so he probably just didn't know what to do in that situation and just wanted to chicken out and let someone else take the fall. And that's what happened. And Sean took the fall for him.
Well, at some point, Pinocchio becomes a real boy. It's just not his time yet.
I guess not. All right, so the next one, which was a great match because I've seen some of this match too. Bobby D versus Steve Fender. Bobby, how'd that match go for you?
Hard hitting, technical, and he comes out of nowhere with everything like always. He's a man trained by Harley Race. He knows a lot of freaking tricks. Like,
I was gonna say, he's a center mat wrestler too, isn't he?
Yeah, we've done some amateur wrestling in the SICW ring against each other. He knows a little bit of everything in that ring, and he can bring it from out of nowhere all the time. Like, he's a smart wrestler. He's very skilled and pretty ruthless all at the same time. That's why I've always said that him and Kowalski are definitely my two toughest opponents.
Kowalski outweighs you by 200 pounds.
A little more.
And Texan gets Fender coming up in a cage here soon.
Yeah, that's true.
Good luck.
October the 7th. Right.
We'll have to go over some pointers before then. But yeah, so we fought out in the crowd a little bit. He threw me into a concrete wall. Tried to get a couple count-out victories. Didn't work. And eventually hit him with the gator roll, the fisherman suplex, and got that pin on him.
Oh, nice. No, so I was out there just peeking around the corner when I seen you get tossed against that concrete wall, and I seen that it was taking you a while. And thank God you had Bill there as the ref, because I'm not saying that Bill is great, but Bill was like counting and then going back and seeing Fender and then coming back. So in a way, he was buying you some time for you to get up and get back into that ring. So, it's a good thing that he wasn't quite experienced. He was cutting off his count and going back and forth, because, that allows you to actually get your bearings back up and back in the ring. But I tell you...
There's probably selfish reasons for him, too, He wants to make sure it's a good show for his show.
Yeah,
good match. Yeah. Which I'll take it.
I mean, I was out there and I watched the chop compilation going back and forth between you guys, and they say I got a hard chop, and I don't really know because I'm not on the receiving end of mine. But I've been on the receiving end of some offenders, and Fender can put some in there as well. So it's
that it can.
So is your chest like hamburger?
It was sore yesterday. It's all right today.
Yeah, there you go.
Today my head's just pounding from all the pounding in the air. All these freaking tearing up of the fields and stuff.
Mm.
Plowing of the fields, like just all pressure right here.
You know, so that's one thing I got to say that I've always been good. I've never got those, the hay fevers or the pollen buildup where you're stuffed up or anything like that. I've always been good on that.
I slept for the hour before I got on this podcast.
Damn. Next.
Yeah, and I thought you were just pushing it off for an hour because you're in another meeting. It was because you were napping.
Yeah. I know I was crabby when I got home from work, and it's like I need a nap.
That's awesome. So the next one was Attila and me. It wasn't really a match. It was just basically a brawl. We did start in the ring. I couldn't even say I don't even think I did a legit wrestling hold or move on him. There was no body slams or suplexes or anything that you would normally see Bobby do.
No double legs, no gator rolls.
No gator rows, nothing like that. We went at it and kind of went back and forth in the corners for a little bit. I didn't even get off a chop or anything. He did. I did toss him in the corner, and I did try to charge at him for a splash, but he was able to get a big boot up, and so I took that to the chin. And I think that's actually what caused me to actually hit the mat, and then he kind of rolled me out. You've seen that spot there where he was able to hit my head against the steel case, the steel stairs, and then grabbed a chair from underneath the ring. And yeah, he clocked me once in the back, and then of course once in the head. And you've seen it, he stood on me like a proud man, But I like to say that that didn't last long because there's another clip that you don't have, but he tried to roll in to save the count. Oh, is this it?
Yep.
So I pulled him back out, and I grabbed the damn chair. And when I tell you that chair folded across his back, it was literally bent. So I was holding the handles, and the whole chair just bent right across his back there.
If the people, if they could see it, they can. When you pick up the chair right here, it's in good shape.
Right.
And then when you go to put it down, it's not in good shape. It's all bent up at the corner and coming in. It's folded around.
Yeah, I did fold that chair right across his back.
Just to put it out there, but every time you guys talk about all the names of the technical moves, I feel like I'm watching Joe Dirt when he's talking about all the fireworks that he's making up names for. I'm waiting for Bobby to say, "You didn't do the scooter stick."
I saw a Whisker Biscuit in that match.
Yep, Whisker Biscuit in there without the scooter stick.
So right after that, he did climb back into the ring, and I went for a lariat, but he was so close to the ropes that he actually went over the ropes and out onto the floor. And then from there, it was just on. We fought each other through the crowds. I did. There was one row of chairs that I guess they were up because right behind that roll is where you would get your nachos, your popcorns, and everything like that. So I threw him right into there, and I tell you, when he hit those chairs, it just went crazy. Like he went through the whole damn roll. I picked them back up. They had the steel cage laying against the wall, and I was like, hell yeah. So I twirled them up and threw them right into the steel cage, because it was laying against the wall. So it was just full impact of him hitting the cage. And then from there, he kind of wandered off and up into the stands. So I followed, and yeah, so we went through all the fans there. People were throwing popcorn at him, but he was throwing. There was trash cans that he was throwing on me, and of course he did get a better half and whipped out that fork and got me with the fork a little bit there. But made it back down to the ring for a little bit. Didn't get back in the ring. We just made it to the ring. And by then, we've been counted out probably 5 minutes earlier from all the crap that we were doing. So literally, you had people like Andy that owns the ring. You had Jason Simmons and Herb Simmons actually got involved, and there's some other, both refs were out there trying to break us apart. Eventually they got Attila back, and he went down towards the locker room. And so, you had Dr. Drew. He was trying to get me to comment on the match and what had just taken place. And, veteran instincts, I should have followed them. But as I was trying to talk to Dr. Drew, Attila comes back out and attacks me from behind. And so we went at it again. And this time you can hear everyone, yelling, "Stop, stop." But I tell you, just how I won that belt. I wrapped that belt around my arm and I just let him have it. And I probably bent up that belt over his head and over his back because I laid him out on the chairs. And there was a picture of one of the guys that goes through all the shows and follows, showing a picture of Attila bent over one of the chairs. It was his chair because it was actually reserved for him. And Attila was just on his knees, basically out of it. But so that actually what finally broke us apart because I got the best of Attila then, and so they dragged his ass down into the locker room. And talking to Drew right afterwards, I told Drew, this is a war. I don't think the war is ever going to end. There's just many battles until, and I told him, anytime Attila wants to go after this belt, because this was Attila's first rematch to try to get the belt back. And it was just wasted on his part because it was a count out. I didn't pin him, he didn't pin me, so basically he just screwed himself, by getting counted out.
Does it, or does double disqualification or double count out means he gets another shot?
Well, you never know. He's got a manager who's trying to buy SICW right now, so if that goes through, then I'm sure he'll get multiple shots until he can try to get the belt off of me.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen until Herb got whatever was in that envelope. He looks like he's thinking now.
And that's the thing, Herb is keeping it silenced. He's not talking about it. He's not saying what the offer was, or even if there was an offer, or...
Yeah, he went straight from hell knows to silence.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen Stephen E. on his Facebook account. He showed himself with a big pile of money, saying that he's finally got the investors' money put together. So, I mean, you never know what Herb's thinking or what Stephen E. is thinking, and since Attila's part of that little clique, you never know. But
Stephen E's been saying that for a long time, though.
Well, and that's the thing. Now Herb is silent about it. He's not speaking about it.
But before, Herb was really quick. No.
Right. But so the best part of the night was not the cage match in my eyes. The best part of the night in my eyes was Bobby D was able to keep his belt. Big Texan was able to keep his belt. And then next Saturday, or this coming up Saturday, we're in a tag match against Sean Vincent and Peyton Ayers. None of the belts are on the line, just an ass whooping. So
I'll say you got some revenge to get on Peyton for a fireball.
All right.
I'm still missing my damn cup.
Yep. And if you guys watched this Sunday's TV program, Peyton had a match, and of course Stephen E was out there, interfering in the match for Peyton. And I tell you, I just came out through that match, and I just let Peyton have it. I gave him 3, so not 1, not 2, but 3 lariats. And I tell you, Stephen E had to pull him off the mat because he was not moving, at least on his own. He was not moving at all. And then, during that TV show, they had me come out, and I gave a little promo about the church that we're going to be at this Saturday in Cahokia. Bob, you know the name of the church. What's the name of the church?
Holy Family Church.
Holy Family Church. So again, it's this Saturday. Doors always open at 6, starts at 7.
I don't know the address, but it's pretty much the corner of Camp Jackson and Route 3.
Right. But, in my little promo that I did, I told them both. I said, you got 6 days to give your souls to Jesus because your ass is mine. I should have spoke your ass is ours because it's me and Bobby going to take them on. So it's going to be a great show again. I don't know what the rest of the booking is. I'm not prelude to that stuff all the time. But as long as I know and Bobby knows what we got going on, we can already make our plans on how we're going to, conquer. But
my thing is going to be I have to dial it in. I got a lot of emotions when I see Vincent right now.
I bet. Shoot, it's just a couple weeks that you get that Cerleto. I think that's what it's called, Cerleto or Concerto. Nate, you weren't there, but basically...
So Sean Vincent came out, said he was going to retire, asked me to come out and shake his hand. It's like, hell no. Not after everything we've been through. So he leaves the ring. A couple matches later, I have a match against Peyton Ayers. And then Prater ends up interfering in the match when I about have Peyton Ayers beat. And Vincent comes out with a chair and runs them off when they start double teaming me. So he puts the hand out. The fans are cheering for it. It's like, all right, I'll shake Vincent's hand. He's retiring. He just saved my butt here, whatever. Shake his hand. He raises my hand, and, we hug it out or whatever. Bygones are bygones. Go to leave the ring. He kicks that rope right into my nuts. And then starts beating the crap out of me with a chair. And then Williams comes out, and they sandwich my head between 2 chairs with full swings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my only question to you, Bobby, is why did you not ask for the Bruiser Brody Cup back if you thought it was genuine, since he still has it?
It was the heart of the match. Like just got done wrestling the match, just got done getting double teamed. You're not thinking completely straight. I'm thinking, is this guy going to do something? Which it turned out he was.
Right. All right. So so we got a little payback for those 2 coming up.
And the poster is up on the scene for everybody to see. And there is no, I do not believe there's an address. There is not.
Like I said, it's Cahokia Heights, Camp Jackson, and Route 3. It's pretty much right there on the corner. Yep. You can't miss it. It's it's got newer buildings, but then it's also got like a really old historical building to it. Like, you can't miss it.
Right.
Yep, and it's in the gymnasium.
And
that way, there can be so much violence in a church. In the gymnasium, it doesn't count. God doesn't go in there, right?
We've wrestled in there a few times, and there is some violence in it.
I lost some tag titles at that place when me and Waco were actually still tagging. We were the multi-state tag champions. Covered 4 states: Indiana, St. Louis, Illinois. More than 4 states. I believe it was Arkansas and Tennessee. But that night we actually had 2 matches. We finished our first match, and then another tag team from another promotion came in from Newbury. The promoter was there and demanded us to defend him again versus his tag team. And, we had just finished 1 match. So we were trying to do our best with the second match. And I don't even remember, who got pinned or whatever, but we ended up losing our tag straps that night. So we've got a little history in this place. And they've also brought in some big names, because I know $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase was there before. I know Cowboy Bob Orton's been there before. So it does have a little history of wrestling there. So it's always good to come back to this place. And
Well, Waco's not here. You can blame your loss on Waco.
yeah, that's true. I'm sure Waco was the one that got pinned that night, and he's the one that caused us the tag straps.
If he disagrees, he can always call in. Everybody knows the number to call into the show.
It's a good thing you dropped that dead weight.
I know it. I know it. Like, there was always some fans saying, "Aren't you tired of carrying that guy?" But I'm having a good luck right now on my own. So I'm going to take that route for right now, unless it's tagging with Bobby D, or tagging with Gary Jackson, or here lately Flash Flanagan has been tagging with Bobby and me and Gary. So we're trying to get it done as a group, but you got 2 factions in this company, and then you got the ones that are just on their own. So you got the Stephen E faction, and then you got the Lucky P. Larson faction. And then you got people that are just like mercenaries, like a Steve Fender. They don't belong to anyone, but they'll come in, and if need be, they'll tag with one of them. And so you always got, at least I got Bobby and I got Gary and Flash sometimes to watch my back if they're in the building.
Yeah, but aren't you ever concerned that Waco is going to go Ronin on you and just come out and hammer on you since you left him?
Well,
Waco tried that. It didn't end so well.
Yeah, me and Waco went round and round for probably a good couple years after the breakup. So, I'm sure he's probably still got some hard feelings somewhere, because he really hasn't done much since I did leave him. Where I've been the tag team champion again with Gary Jackson. I'm currently the classic champion. So I'm sure there's some animosity, or whatever the word is. But
animosity.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Well, you can see in the poster, I got to have a talk with her, because it has your belt, the Classics Champions belt, but it doesn't have Bobby Central States belt or the Bruiser Brody Cup in there.
Texan and I took that picture in the ring the night we went against the LA Hustlers for the tag titles, and I didn't have my title back at that time.
Yeah.
I know, it needs to be updated with all the
Well, that was just a good post picture together. I think that's why I chose that one.
Right. And I think that was actually a fan's picture. A lot of fans at the end of the show, man, they just flood Herb Simmons with pictures and videos and everything. Yeah. So that was just a cool little post.
I highly recommend, definitely the next day, maybe the next 2 days after a show, always go on Herb Simmons' Facebook page and look at pictures.
Yeah. And then we have the 2 camera people too. We got Adam and we got Erica that takes pictures of the whole show. And sometimes they get so many pictures of one match. It's just like one of those books that you used to flip and be able to see the characters move. You're going to see how we're going into each, wrestling move.
I got to say, Hamlin kind of does his in reverse, where Erica posts hers in order like that.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you said Ramblin' Hamlin posted pictures of Oh, I forgot his name. Oh, Batilla.
Well,
I tried to go in there and bring it up, but he has like 600 pictures from that match. So I'm just like,
They
forget
did
it.
a
I'll
lot.
do it later and post it afterwards.
Yeah,
Until
I
later
haven't
on.
seen Adams yet, but I seen Erica's. She sent them to me, and yeah, there's there's so many pictures. She had to send them like in 4 different batches. So they both do a great job. And Adam, man, he's a hell of a writer too, because when he posts them on Facebook, he'll write a good paragraph of his view of how the match went. If the fans are in it or if anything was used during the match. I mean, he's a pretty. He talked about actually starting like a newsletter, like back in the olden days, how they did wrestling at the Chase, where they had that newsletter would come out and get you guys hyped up for the next live show. So I'm pretty sure he's probably still going to try to do that. But man, he is just so busy because he does a lot of other things besides wrestling.
Yeah, he's going to try and do it, but
writing some of this stuff too, and she's been getting pretty good at it too.
Yeah.
there's so much work that goes into it. I just don't know if he's going to have the time.
I know, because he was taking pictures of volcanic rocks, and he was telling stories about these rocks because they're over in St. Louis. And he was talking about how a lot of people don't know, but a lot of the land in the Missouri side, I don't know where it was actually formed from a volcano that's somewhere around here. So I don't know. I didn't read all the paragraph, but it's just crazy all the stuff that he does. But
I was like, he's big into nature. If you actually follow his Ramblin' Hamlin photography, he does a lot of like trail walks and just taking pictures out there, and comes up with some pretty good stuff.
And what's funny is one of the guys that works for me, Jacob, he was doing construction for one of the new buildings they're doing in St. Louis. And he thought it was the greatest thing. He was bringing in all kinds of volcanic glass and going, why is this out there?
Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
And that was just, 2 weeks ago, he kept bringing it in.
So there's one
Now
match
you know.
that we have not talked about. So there's one match we have not talked about, and it was a great match. This is a match, me and Gary Jackson actually snuck out and tried to watch most of it. But it was Kowalski versus the Golden Boy. Now I'm going to forget his name, Greg Anthony. Now, Greg Anthony he's got a world title that he has. It's the AIWF.
Yep, AIWF.
World Heavyweight title. And that's a title that's been, it's gone overseas and wrestled in Japan and wrestled in England, and not yet by Greg Anthony. He posted that he's 100 days in with this title so far. So he's had it for 100 days. But he's wrestled in Chicago and Tennessee and Missouri and Illinois, with us, SICW. And this match was a cage match. So you had that 450-pound gorilla, Kowalski, versus Greg Anthony, who's maybe 5'4", maybe 5'2". He's not that tall. And clearly outweighed. Kowalski totally outweighed Greg Anthony.
And he's almost as tall as him in that picture there.
Yeah, and we have Greg Anthony going off the cage.
Yes, so it's funny too, because sometimes when you're in those cage matches, you want to use the cage as a benefit, because it's easy to knock out your opponent or bust them open to where you can actually take advantage of the opening in their head or whatever they're busted open at, and I tell you, they used every side of that cage, they used every turnbuckle. Greg is a Southern wrestler, which they are more, I don't know, they can be dirty at sometimes, but they're a little bit more, wrestling oriented, where Kowalski's not. He's a big monster. Hulk smash. That's his type of recipe. So you got
He's
this
agile
gorilla.
too, though. Like he's deceptively agile. But it is.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
is.
he's gonna move quick just to run into you.
And there's some times where, Greg was trying to do a leg drop or something, and he was able to move out of the way or roll out of the way. But at the same time, too,
Yeah, how does that not crush him right there?
See, that's
but
where Greg's trying to do, what's that, a reverse body slam, and it didn't go over very well.
no, so actually, I've seen this. So what it was is, speaking of Kowalski being light and agile, uh, Greg went to catch Kowalski. I don't know if he hit the rope and tried to do like, what is it, crossbody? Or no, what it was is Greg actually picked him up for a body slam. So he actually picked him up and got him up, but not
His back gave out.
Yeah, so he got him up about halfway, and then clearly he just fell on his back, and then you had that 450-pound guy on top of you. But he was able to escape in the count of two. Yeah, see, that's the nasty bear hug too, man. You got that big gorilla arms around you and squeezing you. That right there will take the breath out of you. But, so I was watching it and seeing at the end where Greg was climbing the cage. And, the last couple of matches, you had Bobby versus Vincent in the match. Bobby's, if you don't really know Bobby's crazy. So Bobby would jump off the top of the cage in a drop of a hat, But when you seen Greg climb out of the cage, you can see Greg was nervous. You can see those kneecaps shaking. And, he didn't quite get to the very top like Bobby did. Bobby actually jumped off the top of the cage. Greg got to the top, but that last rung before you get to the very top is where Greg stood and jumped off the cage and landed square on Kowalski. And was able to get the victory that way. So he got the 1, 2, 3, retained his AIWF belt. And it's funny too, because afterwards, Greg was, trying to catch his breath. Lucky P. Larson actually got up in there and was trying to say something to Greg and say something to Bill about how Bill's reffing skills were. And Bill actually just let Lucky have it. He swung on Lucky and connected, and down Lucky went.
Man, that's a big leg drop right there.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
that's good. Hell, Jack. The agility
It's
of
a good
Kowalski.
match when other wrestlers come out of the locker room to watch. And that was definitely a match that we wanted to come out. Me and Gary wanted to see how this was going to fold out. Because you got, Anthony's been coming up here lately. We had him on our podcast before, but it's different to see that style of wrestling because I hate to say like the territory days, but you got that Southern wrestling that's kind of got its own thing. And then you got that Midwest wrestling that's got its own thing. And then New York is definitely its own thing. And like we found out at CAC when they were talking about the Texas territory, they had their own thing where, you had the Von Erichs and everyone that went against them, like
A little bit more of that roughneck style.
Yeah, that roughneck where they wanted to beat the piss out of you. They didn't care if you got hurt or not. That was their goal.
And they almost seemed happy to get punched in the face right back.
Right.
And
So,
there's the pictures of Bill and Lucky P.
So, I mean, you definitely, Greg has got that Southern style wrestling, and you can see that. So, me and Gary both, like I said, we both snuck up there just to watch it, just to see how it's going to play out. Because besides the Southern versus the Midwest, you got, maybe Greg is 250, He's short, but he's kind of chubby, so I don't know exactly what he weighs. But you got this gorilla 450-pound Kowalski, so we just wanted to see how it played out, and luckily enough, Greg's been in the business over 20 years as well, so he does have that veteran, smarts to him, and he was able to get the victory that night. But it was a hell of a match. It was a great back and forth, um, but he was able to retain that AIWF title. So it was a very good night. And like I said, even after the show, so as soon as that match was over, me and Gary just went up to our tables and again was just greeting the fans and basically got mobbed by them because there were so many fans that wanted our autographs or wanted Gary's train whistles that he has and his T-shirts and my T-shirts, and it's just crazy. Sandoval is definitely a wrestling town, and there was a fan that actually came up to Herb and was talking about how there was another organization that was trying to hit around that area. I ain't gonna say any names because that's a whole nother argument going on, but
Same old that cost us
yeah.
quite a bit the past 3 months.
But they said that organization sucked, and he was so glad that SICW came back to town because he was able to bring his grandkids and their parents, I think it was his daughter, to the show and show them what wrestling matches could be like. And he was so thrilled that we came back. And to find out, there's actually probably going to be more shows in that area around Sandoval or Carlisle or Centralia. There's a lot in the works. So, I mean, we're nonstop booked from here on out for the rest of the year. I think we got a good break in December and around Thanksgiving. But for the most part, every weekend or every Thursday or every Friday, we got, stuff going on. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah,
we got to talk, Jim, about where we went after the show because that was a pretty cool little place.
that is true too. Do you remember the name of the bar?
Signatures. And Nate, I'll send you some pictures that you can put up on the screen.
Yeah, so Signatures in
I said it's a little bar there in Carlisle, where it's just autographs everywhere. Most of it is wrestling, but they even have some Star Trek, some Cardinals. I have other ones that'll be in the pictures too, but lot of wrestling memorabilia, all autographs. And the owner, he's actually been a fan of ours for a long time. But some of his autographed pictures are when we still held our shows in East Carondelet.
Yeah. So yeah, you had stuff on the ceiling. You had stuff on
the walls. Never seen that. So like the drop tile ceilings, he had those like a checkerboard pattern where those were like picture frames basically.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
You can tell too. He's just a fan of wrestling because he had TNA, he had Impact, he had WWE, he had Ring of Honor. He's just a fan of wrestling. He had so much wrestling stuff. It was crazy. And supposedly there's more stuff that he has in that place, but he hasn't brought out to the bar side because he doesn't want, it's his stuff and he doesn't want it broke. But he has cabinets of title belts and action figures and a whole bunch of different stuff that I didn't know because evidently Teddy Long has his own water because he had a bottle of water and Teddy had it was Teddy's label wrapped around it, and so he sells his own water. It's kind of crazy, but he had the Money in the Bank suitcase.
The Undertaker autographed urn was one of the ones for me. It was like, whoa.
And you know how expensive the Undertaker's autograph is. I posted that a while back when WrestleMania was around, and it was damn near $2,000 to have him autograph anything. And I went to his one-man show, and yeah, it was a lot of money. I think it was like $1,500 to get be able to carry a conversation with him, get pictures taken with him, and his autograph.
That's what it costs to bring in wrestlers.
Oh, if you were to bring him into a show, see, like if Herb, wall hair up his ass, decided to bring the Undertaker in, 10 grand. That's for him not to wrestle. That's just for him to show up to the show. 10 grand. You know, he's in demand right now, so there's a lot of people paying that. And while your name is hot on the grill, you're gonna ask for what you can get. I mean, he just did a spot on the Texas football team, the Longhorns. There's a commercial where the Undertaker is like prepping them up, kind of like how Ric Flair did a while back. When you seen all those videos of those football players, stating all his stuff, jet flying, wheeling, dealing, son of a bitch, So, the Undertaker just retired not too long ago, maybe the last 2 years, maybe 3 tops. So he's still in demand. And hell, now he's got his own one-man show. And, it's a pretty funny show. I mean, I'm sure it changes because the one that I seen, of course, was in St. Louis. And it dealt with a lot of St. Louis connections that he has here. A lot of strip club stories that he has here. Let me just say that. But
only the classic strip clubs.
He remembered the names of the strip clubs.
Well, because Herb likes to keep it family oriented, so all the prices are geared towards bringing in your family affordably. To bring in the Undertaker, it would have to be moved to a stadium to get a good return on the investment. It's just not worth it for SICW.
Right.
Or a huge injection of the ticket price, which I'm sure you could get, but that would block out the core base.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we talked about it last week just a tad bit, that Herb has already announced May 18th. We're going to do Fan Fest Part 2. And from what I heard now, this is just a rumor mill. It's going to be 2 nights, the 17th and the 18th. It'll be a Friday and a Saturday. Now, we had that same rumor last year's, and it was just all one day. But from what I heard through the grapevine, that whole floor is now being rented, where the first time we only had one room, and then the locker room area. But there was another conference area next to the bar/restaurant. So we're renting that part too. And the AC is going to be turned on this year. It's actually in the contract that the AC will be turned on. And it's an inside joke, not really a joke. It was hot as hell.
No, that was not a joke. That was the worst part. In a great day, that was the bad part of a great day.
Right. One of the members that worked at that hotel turned it on fan instead of AC, and with everyone that we had in there, that body heat just cranked it all up. It was just crazy.
And not only that, it was bad for all the filming equipment. All of our batteries were dying.
Right.
Quick. A 3-hour battery is going dead in 45 minutes. It was so hot.
Now, May is like 8 months from now. And I've already...
8 months to prepare last time. It didn't do them any good. They still screwed it up.
Well, no, I'm not talking about them. So May is 8 months from now, and there's already 14 legends from the rumor mill that I heard that's coming. I'm not going to release any names.
I say there's one that I'm not saying that I was told about that I will absolutely mark out for.
We'll have to talk off air because there's one that I know that if they pull it off, I mean, hands down, this would be the first time that this guy has ever been to a fan fest.
Okay, I'll give a hint. You know, if anybody did any kind of research, the rumor that I would mark out for, I was wearing his shirt Saturday night.
God, now I got to look through some pictures to see what shirt you were wearing. Anyhow, so
it wasn't in the ring. It was before and after.
I know. God, I gotta remember what you were wearing.
I'm gonna have to text Adam and say, "Hey, did you get pictures of Bobby before the match?"
But yeah, as soon as Herb announced that he was going to do a second year, he said that the legends were contacting him, say, hey, either they were saying, hey, we had a great time last year, we want to do it again, or someone were calling him, say, you know, we heard about it and we want to be a part of it this year.
Of course, I think we talked about it before, like a few times, but a few of the legends were surprised on how many people showed up. They weren't ready for the crowd that showed up. They didn't have enough.
The fan fest was all day long, and it seemed like every 45 minutes it was a new group of people, but it was packed the entire time.
Yeah. And that's why, because I heard that it might be definitely 2 days this time, because they want to add more to it. They want to do, like, if you go on to some fan fests, like when I went to Iowa for the Hall of Fame, they had a trivia night. So you went into the bar and there's people hosting the trivia night. Well, you know, they want to get, you know, someone like a Jimmy Hart or Gerald Briscoe or someone to host the trivia night. And, you know, so that will be like the Friday stuff. So, you know, last year, a lot of the legends, you know, started coming in on Friday, and they started having people, you know, at the airport already, you know, showing up trying to get their autographs. Or I know for a fact they showed up Friday at the hotel trying to get the legends autographs that were coming in Friday.
Yeah, but that was
so. Yeah, so this year I think they're just they're going to you know, do it Friday and Saturday so they can get the full benefit, get the ones that are coming on Friday, get the ones coming in on Saturday. And you know, Herb is always the one that tries to outdo himself. So you know, there's 48 that we had last year, or this year. So next year, man, I could just you know, sky's the limit, you know, on what he tries to do to outdo himself. It's gonna be crazy. I definitely know that. You know, and a way to talk too. What do you guys? I know Bobby's probably going to answer this more than Nathan. What do you guys think of all the guys that just released from the WWE in the last couple of days?
There were two that really surprised me more than the others. The biggest one is easily Dolph Ziggler, because to me he was like the modern day Brooklyn Brawler, where he was the measuring stick to get into to WWE.
I think he was so much bigger than the Brooklyn Brawler because he was a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion, multiple-time Tag Team Champion, Intercontinental Champion. I mean, the guy was at the top.
His talent is through the roof for sure, but they kind of used him as the measuring stick, though.
Right. I can see that, but you know, the Brooklyn Brawler didn't have a good winning streak. Where Dolph Ziggler, you know, definitely had a good winning streak for a while. Almost 20 years in the business.
He started with the Spirit Squad.
Right. And that's saying a lot, too, because that whole gimmick was kind of crazy. The Spirit Squad was 7 male cheerleaders that would do the little hoorah before their matches, and they would come down and then you would get like a mix, and it could be any two of those guys, or sometimes it was all of them versus, the DX. I think that was their big running opponents. And same with John Cena. But
I say your two
yeah,
big ones from that group though were Dolph Ziggler and Kenny Dykstra.
yeah, from that group, and Kenny was like being trained by Ric Flair. Ric Flair was his the guy that they made him roll with to learn from, and I thought for sure Kenny Dykstra was gonna be the breakout guy, and he was just for a little bit.
Let's say he won the cruiserweight title, did a couple little things.
But yeah, and then eventually I heard he rubbed some people the wrong way, and then out the door he went. But we did get Dolph Ziggler out of that. So, and I tell you, when he first won the championship, I remember watching that match. I remember him coming down to the ring with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he can even tell you there's interviews out there about how he had lost so many matches coming into this match that everyone was like, yeah, sure, you're going to win it now. But you had those people that knew that he was such a good wrestler. I mean, he's probably the best wrestler. I mean, when he got released, The Rock went on social media and bragged about how good he was. John Cena did the same thing about how good Dolph Ziggler was. And that they were totally surprised that they let him go. But the great thing about him is
my other one was probably just because I'm a big fan of him was Shelton Benjamin, and he just wasn't being used enough.
And that was with Ziggler too. You had two great talents that unfortunately they're a little bit older than the current roster that they're trying to build up, and I bet you that was the reason for it. How McMahon doesn't like the old guys unless you're a legend, like the Undertaker. He'll keep coming back for you, but if you're not up to that standard yet, and Ziggler and Benjamin were kind of mid stars, so they weren't quite up to Vince's little demand. But I heard
those guys could have matched on with anybody.
Yeah, but
well, I kind of expected a bunch of releases now that the changeover has taken place, and the new ownership said that Vince McMahon, although he is executive chair, has no decision-making capabilities at all. So I expected a bunch of releases. So
there's still a chance that he might not even. And there's still a chance that he might get fired.
There's still. Yeah. Well, they removed, a part of the deal was they removed all of his decision-making capability. Not to say he doesn't have influence, because obviously he still does.
Oh, yeah, and he'll use it. But from what I heard, it's now that it's a private company, now, these people won't be suing a corporation. They'll just be suing the private company, and private companies are more quickly to just cut loose and go. So they've already been talking about if more people start coming out, and they haven't, he hasn't even gone to court yet for some of these. So if he gets convicted of any of this, they're more likely to cut their loss with him and be done, because they already got Tony Khan, WWE's Tony Khan, to run things, because he's basically, he's the president. You got Vince McMahon, who's the CEO, but Tony Khan is pretty much the guy running it. Especially Vince McMahon had a back surgery, so he's not there all the time.
Well, he's not there either. He's in his 70s. He just needs to stop.
I was really shocked that he even sold that without giving it to Triple H and Stephanie, or I know he's off again, on again with Shane McMahon, but Shane McMahon, I think, had the brains for it, because Shane McMahon almost bought the UFC back when they were going downhill, but he needed Vinnie Mac's money, and Vince didn't want to give it to him. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but the Saudis have never been scared to, one, against lawsuits. They don't really care. I mean, they're going up against the PGA that are suing them, and they're still pressing ahead. So I think since they're planning on joining WWE and UFC together to get some cross-platform matches going on, I think they might bring in Shane and
well, no. So one of the guys from the UFC had made an announcement about how he's thrilled about the possibilities of cross promotion. But Dana White, who is the president of UFC, fucking chopped that down, and he said he doesn't even know why that guy even answered that question that was asked of him, because he doesn't know his head from his asshole. And he said that there will be no cross promotions. He goes, granted, there's already some that WWE fans that like the UFC and some UFC fans that like the WWE, but they are going to, Dana is going to keep that shit separate.
Dana White has always been a fan against that. When Lesnar was the champion in UFC, he wanted to do a WWE match, and he said absolutely not.
and then he did it anyway.
Nope, his contract ran out. He was never under a contract when he went to the other.
Yeah, I was gonna say he went and did it anyway.
After his contract. He was not under UFC contract when he did it. He wanted to be under UFC contract and wrestle a WWE match.
Yeah, Dana's a good mouthpiece, but if the Saudis, who are the majority owners of the UFC, think that there's more money in it, they'll get rid of Dana too.
The Saudis own the UFC? I don't.
No, they own the company. They have majority stake in a company that purchased the UFC and WWE.
Oh.
Endeavor.
Yeah, Endeavor.
I didn't know that was a Saudi corporation or something.
Yep.
Anyhow, as long as Dana's in charge of UFC, I don't think there's going to be any crossover. Besides Brock Lesnar, I mean, that guy is going to go wherever he wants, and they'll sign him to whatever that he wants too. Probably the same thing for Ronda Rousey, but I don't think because Dana, and I'm backing Dana too, you don't want to mix and blur the vision of fans, how they see the product. You want to keep that separated.
One of the other bigger problems, though, is when you come to it from a promotional standpoint. A UFC fight is usually booked out 6 months to a year. If you're having a couple of WWE matches in between there, we've seen guys blow an ankle out and have to get surgery just stepping off the ring.
Yeah.
Like we've seen that with the Lumberjacks in person. And if you're trying to promote a fight for 6 months to a year down the road, and your guy just blew his ankle out, that makes it pretty difficult.
Right.
I don't know, Bobby. When they call you up, you'll be the first to do cross promotional. Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Did you hear that, Jim? When he makes it big, he's still going to remember us.
Yeah, more power to him, because I know I already hit that age bracket where there is no going any higher in the WWE for me. You got those one people that once in a blue moon can make it. Because what's his name? Yeah, his name is
LA Knight.
LA Knight. He's in his 40s, and they're already talking about him about. Right now he's in a contract dispute too, because he wants more money. They're not willing to give it to him. And he's in his 40s, so Vince McMahon is already thinking you're getting too old. But just because he's in his 40s, he's in his prime, because he's been everywhere. He's like the Gary Jackson of SICW. He has been everywhere.
At one point, there's a thing. He has 3 of the top 5 selling shirts at the time.
I mean,
and as long as it doesn't matter age, as long as, and people, we're only talking about wrestling here, not about other shit. As long as you put butts in the seat and you sell and you make money, age shouldn't matter. It's the
Well,
product that should matter.
here's my thing when it comes to wrestling and age. This business, back in the olden days when you were doing a territory system where you were working every night, that's how you build yourself. That's how you learn the business. That's how you learn how to do different moves and what works and what don't. But we don't have that system anymore. So even if you're running with like Impact and you're one of those select few that you're a cheerleader, but now you're so hot that WWE signs you to a contract where you have to learn how to wrestle now. There's no way that they can get that seasoning done without working consistently. So someone like an LA Knight who's traveled the world, been in Impact, been everywhere, been in the WWE a couple times. He's seasoned right now, and they just need to sign him for 4 or 5 more years and get his value out. Because it's so hard for a new guy. There was Gary Jackson was doing an interview yesterday on the same podcast that I did a couple months ago, the Huge Pop podcast. Little shout out to them. So they had Gary on Sunday, and they had another wrestler on as well. And he's like a few years in, where Gary's 30 some odd years in, and he was talking about Gary was talking about how you got to be ready, and you got to earn your spot, and sometimes you're given the spot because something happened to someone else. Someone gets injured, someone no shows, someone's car broke down, and you got to be ready to take that spot and roll with it. And the new guy was talking about how he don't want to take anyone's spot. He wants to earn every spot he gets.
That's a good way to go nowhere.
Right. Granted, you might start learning how to wrestle a lot better, but if you're not ready to go at a drop of a dime, where's that going to get you? You're not going to. All I'm saying is.
Well, just as a callback to both you and Bobby, on all the other wrestlers we've had on, including Gary, every single one of them has said, go to everything with your equipment. Even you guys have said it. Don't go anywhere without your equipment, because at the drop of a hat, they're going to point you out in the crowd and say, we need you in the ring.
Yeah. All I'm saying is LA Knight has worked his ass off. He's been in the business for a long time. I don't think he's done. He's in a great shape. He's selling his merchandise, top guy. I would say age doesn't matter. He's in great shape. Fucking sign him. Keep him going for 4 or 5 more years. Yeah. On the cuts, there was 100 corporate cuts. And then 10 or 12 wrestlers that were cut. But still, it's so weird too, because the same night they were talking about cutting all these people, they were talking about tryouts the next week for them to hire these other people.
You guys are cheaper than people that have been there.
Yeah. It's just weird that there was no time wasted. We're cutting these 12. By the way, next week we got these 10 people coming in for tryouts. Now, the only one I'm really looking forward to on these tryouts is Fit Finley has a son who's going for tryouts. Well, technically, it would be this week. And if you know anything about Fit Finley, that guy was fucking awesome. When it comes to championship gold, I don't think he was ever a world champion, but every fucking wrestler respected him, and you had to, because he made you respect him. That guy,
he could work.
Yeah. Him and Lord Steven Regal, I think both of those guys are in the same club, where, they might have had a few mid-card championships, but they've never been a world champion. But those guys are both respected. Hell, Steven Regal put Goldberg on his ass. and I can't wait to see his Fit Finley's son and see what he can do. Because what's his name? Ron Breaker. Um,
Ron
Scott,
Breaker.
yeah. He one of the Steiner brothers' sons. That guy looks exactly like his dad, and he's got Scotty's fucking attitude. I think he is great. So I do watch him when he was the NXT champion. I know they've been kind of dabbling with him on SmackDown on Raw a couple times, so I can't wait for him to kind of break out and just let them roll. I don't know why they changed his name. The Steiner brothers and the Steiners has such a great name and such a history to it that they should have just kept him as a Steiner.
The only thing I could think is Scott did rub a lot of people the wrong way.
They still made it to the WWE Hall of Fame, though.
Yeah, and they had a hell of a career getting there.
Yeah. So it's just weird. Did you watch The Wrestlers yet?
I have not.
Let me plug this show. Wrestlers on Netflix. Wrestlers is about Ohio Valley Wrestling, and is currently owned. I don't know what the percentage is, but Al Snow owns a part, and there's two corporate guys that own a part. And it's a great show because you got the old school mentality of Al Snow, not wanting to reveal anything, keep everything to his chest, and then you got two corporate guys that just want to make money. Don't care about like storylines of what you guys got going on. He just wants to. Those two just want to exploit it and try to make money off of it. Where you got Al Snow, who is from the old school and has a lot of problems trying to let go of some of this stuff. So it's a great counterbalance. In Ohio Valley, there was a lot of famous wrestlers that came out of there. Randy Orton, Batista, John Cena,
Flash Flanagan.
Yeah, he was from Ohio Valley. So, there was such a great talent that came out of this, and they're hoping to have another round. Because I know one of the female wrestlers from the Wrestlers, her name is Holly Hood. I can't remember her actual name, but her moniker is Holly Hood instead of Hollywood. She is actually having one of the tryouts for WWE this week as well. But great show. And if you like the show on Fight TV, Ohio Valley Wrestling is on there every Thursday. Normally they're live. I think they're actually taking a break these last 2 weeks. Because I think at the beginning of October is when they're actually going to start going live again on Thursdays. But you check that out. And another kind of cool thing, the finale of Heels was on a couple weeks ago, and that show, I can't get enough of that show either. And now this is more of the fictional side of wrestling. It's a sitcom. So it's got all the trials and tribulations of family-ran promotion, where the Wrestlers is more behind the scenes, legit what's going on with that promotion. But both TV shows, I can't get enough of. But that's me running my mouth. Anything else you guys want to talk about this week?
Did we already talk about the next Saturday's match, the 30th?
Yeah, we only know the main event that we talked about.
Yeah, so the main event is me and Bobby versus Vincent and Peyton Ayers. The rest
you guys are just going to have to come out to see what else is on there.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's in a great town, Cahokia. Corner of Route 3 and Camp Jackson. Can't go wrong. Their beer is cold. It's a big building. They do food there as well, so you can come and enjoy the atmosphere, get a free, not a free, get some cold beer and some food, and watch some wrestling. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this week. Now I'm sure next week we'll jump back into the other shows that we got going on, because we got wrestling at the Chase, we got the Mac show coming up, we got the memorial show for Ben. A lot of good shows coming up, and I'm sure we want to maybe get some guests on here and talk about some of those. I know Herb is looking forward to the wrestling at the Chase, because since he's been in the business and since the wrestling at the Chase unfortunately folded, Herb has always wanted to get back in there, and he's finally in there this year. So it's definitely going to be a highlight for him, highlight for all of us St. Louis-based wrestlers.
So much history in there.
So we'll definitely we'll probably bring Herb on for that one too, so he can talk about what this means to him.
Oh, and Jim, check your Instagram messages. I sent a message of Stanley, another podcaster that does the charity side of wrestling, and since the last couple shows and the one coming up are all charity based, probably have him on next.
Yeah. I've been talking to one of the other promotions that I work with. That promoter might come on because the Independent Hall of Fame show is going to be coming up here pretty soon too. So I want to bring him on and have him talk about the class that's going in this year. Me being one of them, so it's an award that I can't wait to have personally. It's one of those things where you're an independent wrestler, you didn't have your peers actually vote you in, and that's what happens in this Hall of Fame. So it starts off like, let's say 5 people get voted in, so you're in. So those 5 people actually create a list of like 10 people, and then how you get voted in is those 5 people have to have you on their list, and then so now you got 10 people first year, second year. So now those 10 people have to have that one person on their list, and then you get voted in the third year. So it's a very peer based votes in for this Hall of Fame, and so I guess I just got lucky. I played the field right, I guess, the last few years, and a lot of people has voted me into this. So I want to get him on there so he can touch base with it. Maybe he can announce a date. I don't know if he's got a date set in mind. I know normally it was in October, so I think October/November one year. So we'll see what he's got on mind, and I'm sure we'll videotape that and put this on here too. See what we got going on. But all right, for me, I think that's all I got. That's all I can blabber about. But yeah, again, like always we say, please, if you like this content, please like, subscribe, comment, share, ring the damn bell, do everything you can to help us get this content out there to the masses. Because we need subscribers to actually start monetizing this, so we can actually get bigger guests on, bring in more things, take you more places. Of course, wherever we go, we're going to take you for the ride. So definitely like, subscribe, comment, share, and blast
and
the word
all the dirty details behind the scene too.
Not all the dirty stuff. You got to keep some of it hidden. Because
well, they have to sign up to be a member if they want to see the dirtiest stuff.
There you go. All right. So for the Big Texan, I'm out. You guys got anything else to talk about?
No, I do not.
All right. Well, then, from the Squared Ring Podcast, another week in the bag, and we'll get back up with you guys next week with what happened Saturday, and then that following Saturday's show as well. So thank you guys for tuning in, We're out. Peace.
All right. See you guys.